Yeah, that really is my name. But anyways, have you ever stopped and wondered what money really is? I mean, isn't that weird that we go to work all day and all they give us is a little piece of paper that has some numbers on it? Economists kind of call it an idea, possibly a philosophy. They don't even know what money is these days. Well, we should look into history. Oh, that's really slow. Just do it like that and just click down, that's fine. So anyway, so scientists estimate that we first started bartering and trading about 200,000 years ago, and more recently in our history, we started using representative values, chickens, cows, we got into some metal coinage, and then we got into some receipt currency. So this was kind of cool. This is when actually people would have a bunch of precious metals laying around. They'd go to their blacksmith that had a vault to keep it all safe, and then he would store it in there and he'd give them a receipt in return. And these receipts became so prevalent that people just started trading these receipts, and then all of a sudden banking was born. But the problem with that is, just like today, bankers were greedy back then too. So what they would do is they start printing these receipts but without having any type of backing to it. So whenever there's a money that has without any backing, it's called fiat money. And in the 3,600 cases of fiat money that we know about, they've all depreciated to be worth zero. So whenever you hear the word inflation or see the word inflation, a lot of people try to puff it up to make it sound like it's really cool or whatever, but all it is basically is that the government is printing more money. So when you hear the word inflation from a government official, what does it mean? They're printing more money, right. And signs of this may be that the price of food or gold rise, but in actuality the price of food and gold don't rise. It's just that the dollar weakens. So there it is. So anyways, this list is about to come up. I can probably start naming them. It's a pretty long list. So here in the last 100 years, here are all the countries that have suffered from not only inflation but hyperinflation. So we see in Hungary they had money, they're just sweeping the streets. In Germany they were using it to heat their homes. And my personal favorite, the $100 trillion bill from Zimbabwe. But you know, as Americans, we're privileged, right? We don't need to learn lessons from history. We're exempt from them. So here's a little list of the inflation rate of the U.S. since the colonial days. For about 250 years, the inflation rate stayed the same, except for some minor glitches that we see from war. But in the early 1900s, something changed. Not this slide. There it is. So the Federal Reserve was started, and then FDR, Roosevelt, he actually outlawed the private ownership of gold, except for ornamental jewelry that you can wear. So the treasury vaults just started filling up with all these gold bricks. Then we got a little bit, we thought, hey, why don't we expand from there? We own 50% of the world's wealth at this time. Why don't we invite everybody to base their currency on our currency, which is based on gold, right? It sounds pretty safe. But the problem was so all this gold started coming in from all over the world. But the problem was we just got out of World War II and our inflation rate didn't stabilize. And then we got into the Vietnam War and we had to print off more money to pay our war debts. But we didn't have the gold backing for that. So at the time, President of France, Charles de Gaulle, kind of suspected this. He called us out. He actually cashed in all his American notes for all the gold. And then we noticed, crap, we didn't have enough gold to pay everybody back. So President Nixon did the only thing he could think of doing in a short-term view. He just abandoned the gold standard altogether. Hey, we can't pay you back, let's just fix it by abandoning it. So we can see the adjusted inflation rate has gone up since then. But yeah, we remember him as kind of just being the Watergate scandal, not any of this gold stuff. So here's a kind of a cool example. So these are $2 bills from two different monetary systems. And the average person probably can't tell the difference because they were designed deceitfully to look similar. The top one is actually a silver certificate and it says payable to the bearer on demand. So you can actually take this receipt and give it to the treasury and they would give you that amount in silver. But now, because we're on a fiat system, now it's just a Federal Reserve note, which means you can take this receipt, take it to the bank, and all they do is give you a fresh new piece of paper. So unless if we like to enjoy the benefits of hyperinflation, we might be on the right track. But if you're older and you worked your whole life and you saved up a few $1 million, it might suck that that's going to be worth nothing if our government keeps printing money. So what we have to do, we have to take the power back, right? So I made an easy 4-step plan how to do this. 1, eliminate fractional-based lending that all banks currently do, shut down the Federal Reserve, reinstitute the gold standard, and repeal the 17th Amendment. Okay, well, that sounds a little drastic, right? I mean, I think maybe we need a little more grassroots routine. I mean, I'd be love to do this, and I think it's necessary. But why don't we just go back to our roots, something we've been doing for 200,000 years, and go back to the barter and trade industry. So modern technology has just made it super easy. And why it's really fun is that all of us are different, no matter what the government says and no matter how we want to pay things. We're all different. We have different skills. So something to me may be worthless, but it might be super valuable to you. So, yeah, at first trading and bartering is really weird, but once you get the mentality, it's kind of cool. So it's not just for your Uncle Cletus that lives up in the mountains that doesn't pay taxes, or for Ken Olson, for that matter, who just spoke. It's actually like a new cool thing to do. And we've helped people trade the craziest things you can imagine: plastic surgery, yachts, houses, pets, animals. I'm still waiting for the children one, but well, that should show up soon. There's actually cities popping up all over the world that don't take a currency, that it's all on barter and trade. It's pretty interesting, in Portugal too. So anyways, here are some of the things we've helped people trade. And what's really fun about trading is that there's this phenomenon called trading up. Like, I'm sure you've heard of this story where a guy started with a paper clip and he traded to a house. And there's also this kid that was 15 who started with a cell phone and traded up to a Porsche. Right, has anybody heard that story? Well, I've done it a few times myself, and let me tell you, it's not brain surgery or rocket science or brain surgery, whatever. It's really easy and it's really fun, because when you make these trades along the path, all you're doing is making these cool, like, win-win trades all the way till you get there. So there's like no gimmick, no illusion like money. It's just based on what people value and how they value it. So here's some of the things I've traded up. I started with a mattress and now I have a pretty cool dirt bike. Actually sold because I'm trying to build up a company. Same thing with our pop tent trailer. But the funnest one, I started some speakers, and I now have a little Audi that we just drove here tonight. So my wife actually drives it. I wanted to trade it for kind of like this little race car, but she won't let me do it. So anyways, I'm working on doing this 30-day experiment where I'm going to try to survive on nothing but barter and trade. I mean, I'm going to have clothes, but I'm going to look for housing, for food, anything I can do. So if you have any connections there, you have a couch you want, I can fold your laundry or watch your kids, I'll be happy to. Anyways, so if you want to get in contact with me at all, there's my email address. I recommend reading the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. I'd also check out these stories, crash courses on YouTube by Dr. Mortensen. They're actually pretty cool. Thanks for your time, guys.